guys, welcome to Irish Footy Vlogs. Welcome to another Premier Division review show, guys. This week we had some interesting games. We had games after Europe as well, but we'll start off with the Brandywell and start off with Philip this week. Why not? Derry City had a huge 3-0 win against Drogheda United. McGonigal, Lafferty with 2. Derry City now bypassed Drogheda in the table. Very convincing win here for Derry, wasn't it, Philip? Surprisingly, maybe?
Yeah, surprisingly. I think that was the word that I kind of looked at and, well, thought of when I seen the result. That was a shock. Like, I was a bit shocked at how easily Drogheda folded. And looking back at the highlights, Keith, there was very little shown for Drogheda. Like, it didn't look like they had much in the game at all, to be honest with you. The goals that Derry got, they didn't look fantastic, but you could tell throughout the course of the game there was spells where Derry were on top. And I think there may have been a factor with the 1,000 fans in the Brandywell. That was fantastic to see, first of all. But I think that might have played a part because there was a bit of an atmosphere about the game. Whereas when Rovers played up there a few weeks back, when there wasn't as many fans in, you could see them. The atmosphere was there, but obviously wasn't as big as the game against Drogheda. And I think that played a big part in it. But yeah, look, I suppose the bit of a rut goes on for Drogheda, and it doesn't look like it's going to stop anytime soon. It's unfortunate, but look, I suppose Cian mentioned it there last week. They've done brilliant this season, and you know you can take no credit from them. And even if they do go on a bad run from now until the end of the season, they've done more than enough to say that they've done well coming up. Like, so, yeah, I think they'll be disappointed with how they got beat, but Derry will obviously be delighted, Keith, and another good result for them, and they'll be looking to push on again.
Yeah, Cian, they're up to 5th now in the table all of a sudden, and they'll be delighted that McGonigal got his first goal for the club. He did take it well, in fairness, didn't he?
Yeah, massive win for Derry. I think I predicted that. I think I predicted Derry to win it. I can't really remember.
Funnily enough, we all did, but I don't think anyone thought it was going to be that convincing, to be fair.
No, I did speak about the Danny Lafferty and James Brown. I did say that was going to be a key battle, and I think whoever won that battle would have come out the right side. Now, I didn't expect Lafferty to score 2. Now, I expected him to, it was a bit of a cross, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So, I would have said a cross, but it just went in. Look, you take them. I think you won't forgive me for saying this, but the looks of Conan Bourne and all probably scored about 25, 30 goals for Pats like that. Just excellent stuff. What a win, what a performance. Bastian Hurley was superb in the game. I thought he was knocking the ball around, he was just zipping it, he was very quick, and I think he really made them tick, and that's the midfielder that Derry City need. We all know what Bastian can do, but can he keep doing it now? Can he do it every week for them? Because if he does it every week from now to the end of the season, they'll be flying. You're looking at Bowles not winning. You're looking at Dundalk not winning. You're looking at, obviously, Drogheda didn't win because Derry beat them. So it's been a very good week for Derry in terms of results-wise. They're getting 3 points up on everyone else in and around them. So, massive performance. Drogheda were poured again in the game, which is unusual from their standards they've set this season.
It's just 9, Cian. Do you think they're running out of steam a little bit?
Look, it's tough to give them too much criticism because, I predicted at the start of the season, I always remember putting Drogheda to 7th and people thought it was arbitrarily. And, I think they obviously went on a great run. Like, that happens in the league and you see teams on them. Like, people could say Pats are on a great run, and like nobody expected Pats to be where they are now. So, I just think it's all of how much you can keep that going for and how long you can keep it going. I think Drogheda just 1 or 2 results not going their way. They're out of the cup. Kind of a little bit of a hangover and that, people will say, like I'd say, Drogheda, not an awful lot to play for. But now they will disagree and say, look, we have to challenge for Europe here. So, it works both ways. But I just think the season might just peter out for them a little bit. But look, what a full season for team in the Premier Division. And, they're definitely going to be a strong force going forward. There's no question about it. They got a couple of players in. They hold on to what they have, which, I don't like disrespecting Drogheda, but I don't think they can. I don't think they're going to hold on to the likes of James Brown, for example. I don't think they're going to hold on to the main players. Probably Dane Massey, Gary Deeg, and players like that might hang around. But James Brown is a big future in this game, in my opinion. And even the likes of Darren Markey, could he get a move? Could he go somewhere? So that it's going to be a big off season for Drogheda. I think they just have to consolidate that place. Anywhere between 5th, 6th, and 7th is an unbelievable job, and they should be delighted with themselves. So I wouldn't be too hard on them. But they'd be disappointed with the way they've lost not only this game, a couple of games. Like I'd even revert back to the game they played Pats. They were never in it, and that's not like Drogheda. Drogheda were always in the games, and I think since that Pats game, they've really hit a dip. And now I know it's only 1 win in 9, and the Pats game was well into that. But I thought they were always in and out of the games, and they always had a chance. But now they don't seem to be firing like they were. They don't seem to be taking that 1 or 2 chances that they get a game.
Yeah, it just shows as well that's a long season, because Waterford beat Bows 1-0, and Waterford are actually 5 points behind Drogheda. Philip, you wouldn't have thought that a few weeks ago. It just shows how long a season is like. You know what I mean? Patterson getting the winner here. Arguably should have got a penalty near the end as well, but I saw this as well. And to be honest with you, I think we predicted this, Philip. I'm not too sure. We may have.
Yeah.
But I honestly thought there'd be a bit of a hangover here from Bows. And I know I see a lot of Bows fans saying they didn't make a lot of changes, but for me, that's not really the point, though. Anyway, it's a mental hangover as well. You come out of a game against Pauk like that, like mentally, it's very hard to turn on again, and particularly when you're playing them the following week. We'll talk about another team later on who are a bit like that, in my opinion, as well. But all that aside, it's still a great result for Waterford, and a performance that they probably wouldn't have put in under Kevin Sheedy, to be fair.
Yeah, definitely. But before I talk about the game, I just want to say, if you're a Shamrock Rovers fan and you're watching this, after the day we've had, go and check out the vlog that Daz done down there in Waterford. It is comical. You could see him getting wound up as the video went along. It's an absolute classic. So I think it's one of the videos that needs. So have a look at that as well after this one. But look, I have to say, Bows losing on the weekend and then we getting a last minute winner. It's brilliant. But I suppose, look, overall, Keith, Waterford just were, I wouldn't say they were outstanding. I just thought they were very well organised, being honest with you. And I could see that throughout the game. Now, don't get me wrong, there were spells in the game where they kind of weren't able to cope with Bows in midfield. But without going into the final third for Bows weren't able to really break through, if you know what I mean. It was kind of like watching Rovers a bit during games this season, when teams kind of sit back and they're finding it hard to break teams down. But even the quality of delivery on show for Bows just wasn't great. Like, Georgie Kelly got no service at all in the game. And it just I suppose it goes to show the squad they have, Keith, and it's catching up on them, and you can't go and play against a big massive team like Pauk and then expect yourself to go through a game like Waterford without having a good squad, you know what I mean, and a good size squad at that as well. So look, I think it was coming. I always thought that Bows wouldn't win the game. I always thought it'd be a scrappy game, which it was. And don't get me wrong, on another day, it could have went a different way altogether. But you can only give credit to Waterford. And look, Bertram signed that new deal. And I tell you one thing, there's no signs of them slowing down and any honeymoon period. It just doesn't seem to be stopping, because they've been excellent since he's come in. And I think everyone will agree on the show that they are a joy to watch, because they're a hard-working side. They're not the best team in the league, but they do go out and they give 110% for their manager. And the fans as well are starting to recognise that as well. There was a bit of an atmosphere about the RSC, which has been lacking for a while, obviously with the COVID and people not being in. But before that as well, when things were a bit rougher, you could see there was a lack of atmosphere in the ground. And being there myself, I noticed it. But to be fair to them, they seem to recognise that their team is going the right way, and I suppose they'll only be hoping that it continues, and they'll look for a strong finish to the end of the season, because the way they're playing and teams around them at the minute are faltering. It just doesn't look like they can't stop climbing places at the minute.
Yeah, 19 points, Cian, their last 10 games. That's pretty strong for most teams, let's be honest about it. But I think that's crucial what Philip said there. Mark Bertram signed a contract. We haven't really seen that properly from Waterford in the last 2 years, and that's killed them. It means the players move on. I know in this league players do move on, but you'd like to think they can keep a decent chunk of the players they have now and hopefully add to it, wouldn't you?
Yeah, now look, a lot of them are still on loan.
Yeah.
So it's a massive off season for Mark. Now he has the time to, in and around games and obviously prepared and gets fully focused on Pats next week. But in the back of his mind, he's going to be thinking of, like, he's going to be thinking about, teams, and he's going to be thinking about players that he can possibly get in. So this few months now is great to sign that deal. He knows he's there. He's going to get the players that he needs. Hopefully, he's going to be looking. He's going to be recruiting already. He's going to be having little words in the ear. And like I said, we can't wait for the cup final probably, and that's where you get all your players these days. The cup finals. You stand up at the premium level in the cup final, you see a player talking to a manager, and you can bet a fiver on it that he's signing for him on the Monday morning. So
Instagram, anyone you see talk to a player, yeah.
Yeah, so I'd say Mark is out looking. He's going to have his scouts to watch LOI and stuff like that. It's going to definitely help that. In terms, you can watch everyone, you can see everyone. So he's going to be getting a pool of players, and there's no reason why any player wouldn't want to go down and play for Mark at the minute. I know he was suspended. He was in the stand the other day, but you can still see what he's working on and how good he's doing in such a short space of time. And we've given Waterford so much criticism, probably the most, well, apart from Cork, probably the most criticism on this show and what they do. And a lot of it, they deserved it.
It's
But
justified.
they've been brilliant in what they've done. They've identified that they need to get a bit of stability into the club, getting them on a 2-year deal. 2.5 if you were to add this season in. So it's excellent, and congratulations to them. You just hope that it's not always going to be good. So they need to stick with them. But in terms of the game, the weekend, I said that Bowes won't make an awful lot of changes because them nights in the Aviva don't happen without finishing in the top 4. So it's massive loss for Bowes.
And even the top 4 doesn't guarantee Europe, Cian. It depends on other cup wins cups and things like that,
Yeah, so I just think they needed them 3 points, and I think Keith Long would be even more annoyed considering the side he put out. Like, he put out a very decent side, and it's players that you wouldn't expect to be playing there on Saturday because of the big game next week. Now I know Thursday to Saturday is a bit of a gap, so you can look after players and stuff like that a little bit. But I think Keith would be more frustrated, like I said, with the side he put out, considering they lost the game. And anyway, so he might have said maybe I could have rested these, but look, hindsight is great and all. But they didn't do themselves justice. But I don't think it was Bowes down. I think Waterford were just excellent in the game. They didn't give them an inch. They didn't give them a chance. I think Georgie probably had 2 chances in the game, or 1 chance, and there was nothing else really in the game. I think the only team that looked like scoring was Waterford, and they probably should have had a penalty. Probably should have had 2 penalties. The one the second half when what was his name, Junior, went through up front, and he got absolutely clattered. And you're just waiting for the ref to blow the whistle. And a couple of years ago when the red card rule was out, you'd be gone for your red card. Last man, you're gone. But to not even get at, and it was shocking for me now. But no, they bossed the game. I don't think he can have any complaints on that. I don't think Bowes fans would have any complaints. But Bowes, like you said, the European hangover, 1 game now away from getting in again and going to another tie with another decent amount of money in the bank as well. So, it's a massive game for the club next Thursday. I think what they've done this season in Europe is fantastic, and the money that they'll have, they live off that money now for a number of years, whatever happens on Thursday. But you're in the competition, you want to do well in it, but that they need to start getting the domestic form in place, because you don't go on European runs if you don't do that, and I can't see them winning the cup, being honest with you. So they need to get their form sorted in the league, and they need to get themselves back up that table.
100%. Sligo Rovers 0, Finn Harps 1, and the weather here was horrendous, by the way, in the northwest. But some people say it suited Harps. No, but to be fair to Harps, 1 win in the last 9. Sligo 5 defeats in a row in all competitions. But we were just talking about Waterford there, to be fair, Philip. But Harps have kind of put a spanner in the works here, because that win puts them 2 points behind. It might give them a G up again as well.
Yeah, and I suppose there's a couple of games as well that need to be played around the bottom of the table, which will obviously could affect things. But look, I suppose it was a rotten game to look at, to be honest with you, Keith. And at one stage, I did switch off for 20 minutes because it was really, really poor. Obviously the conditions had a bit to do with that as well, I thought, anyways. But no, look, I suppose Finn Harps set piece, something that they probably haven't done much this season. Goal from a set piece, which will obviously be Ollie Horgan. If any man would be delighted from scoring from a set piece, it'd be Ollie Horgan. So I don't know. I just think that I think they were worth it on. They were worth it on the night just because Sligo were just really, really poor. Just seemed to be in one of those moods where they're feeling sorry for themselves. And look, I suppose. I think they'll still be okay for Europe, but they want to sort themselves out quite quickly if they don't want to get themselves into a spot of bother, because teams behind them now are slowly starting to pick up points. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, Bowes being the exception this weekend, and Dundalk as well. But there's other teams as well that are starting to come into it that we probably didn't think would. The likes of Derry, do you know what I mean? And that's something they're going to have to be conscious of, because if they keep dropping points and playing and losing to teams like Finn Harps, with all due respect, they're going to be in big trouble. But I think we all kind of thought that win wasn't coming. I think this was one of the ones we all went to dead cert on for Sligo, and it didn't happen. So Finn Harps will be just looking to build on this now if they want to get out of the playoff spot. So I don't see them doing it, to be honest with you. I just don't think they have the players at the minute. I don't think they have the squad either. But they'll be strong in the playoffs if they do finish there. So I wouldn't rule them out staying up anyways.
Yeah, Keno, I mean, Sligo for me overall are having a good season. If they finish top 3, in my opinion, that is a good season. Having said that, what has happened to them recently, in your opinion? Because it's gone more over, it's gone into a little bit of a slump rather than just bad form of a couple of games, hasn't it, a little?
Yeah, look, and teams are going to get that. Sligo probably just had it worse than everyone else around them, and I think that's the problem. You look at Rovers. Anytime Rovers kind of went through a little slump there a few weeks ago or months ago now, they go through that little slump. Other teams around them weren't winning. Other teams around them were drawing as well, or, it was a loss. They were very inconsistent. You look at Bowes, they were the same. When they were going through that slump, teams around them like Dundalk and Derry and stuff weren't winning. So you get an advantage. But now looking at Sligo, they're in the slump and the teams around them are picking up points. And, Sligo be kicking themselves, looking back, they'd be looking back now on this little slump now if they're 4 or 5 points off the title, or, if they're a point off Europe come the end, they'd be looking at these games, they'd be kicking themselves. So I don't think it's not for the want of trying. I think it's just, it's a tough league. I think people keep underestimating it. It's such a tough league. Like, I've no doubt
to believe in their own hype a little bit, because they seem to be, they've been close to Pats all season, but there seemed to be a bit more talk title challenge from the Sligo side, let's say, for example, than the Pats side, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. Look, people are going to talk. But whatever happens in that dressing room should be the full focus on it. People are going to say, yeah, they should be challenging for the league. We want this and that. But to be honest, I think I said Sligo will be up for Europe. I never thought they'd have a chance at the league. So I think that's the best you can hope for as Sligo Rovers, and as Derry, Pats, Bowes, Dundalk. To be honest with you, I think Europe is the focus for teams, and I'd bite your hand off for the spot in Europe. So I think it's a little bit as well, a tiny bit for me of fans getting a little bit greedy. Because if you were the tiny Sligo fan at the start of the season, you'd be third in the league. Come the end of it,
they'd bite your hand off.
Yeah, they would have bit your hand off, and I think Pats would be the exact same. So I'd be a little bit I'm a little bit looking at the fans there, and maybe they're getting a little bit too greedy considering the position they're in. And that's normal. Look, expectations and stuff like that do lift when you do see the team playing them well. But I just think Sligo Rovers are a little bit off going for anything, but they just need to finish third. And if you were to finish third, and I know the season people are saying might peter out, but I still think that's a great season for Sligo.
I agree, and bear in mind as well, they still have 2 games in hand with Pats, who's to say they don't win those 2 games. So you know yourself. It finished in order: Dundalk 1, St. Patrick's Athletic 4, Smith with 2, Lambert, Forrester penalty, and Hooban. I'll start off with look at Cian's laughing already.
I've heard that for a long time.
I'll start with Philip. I'll start with Cian because obviously Philip didn't see the match because Shamrock Rovers is the same time as well, and we're only recording this afterwards. But look, on the face of it, it's a great result for Pats, no matter what you say. They're second in the league. They've responded well after losing, to Shamrock Rovers last week. Dundalk, I do think in the second half, you could see fatigue coming into it. Pats, to be fair, took advantage of that. I actually didn't think Dundalk were that bad in the first half, Cian, really. Yaris made a couple of decent saves, to be fair to him as well. But I think Pats just grinded them out in the end and took their chance as well. Pats were actually very clinical, I must say, in the day as well. And I thought Matty Smith was absolutely brilliant, actually, for Pats.
Yeah, it was a really... That first half was relentless. Like Philip was probably going to watch it back, but honestly, that first half was relentless, and I think it was an excellent game to watch. It was end-to-end stuff. If you were to ask me at half time, I would have bitten your hand off for a draw. I know we went in 2-1 up, but I thought Dundalk were the much better side. Pats have been, I'm not going to say lucky because you can't be lucky all season, but I think Pats are very good at grinding games out, and they're very good at getting one chance and taking it this season, which is very unusual for a Pats side in the last couple of years. So you're looking at the game. You got 1-0 up, before we always say in the first 15 minutes. So you're 1-0 up before the game even starts, really, before the game even settles down. So I always have that bit of advantage, and bit of sloppiness in the middle again, losing the ball. Alfie Lewis. Last week it was Robbie Benson losing the ball in the middle and it was breaking in, and Andrew puts it in the net. And this week again, the ball breaks down the middle and it's a counter attack while wide open. And look, that's going to happen if we want to play the games like this and press so high like a Pat side does, pressing from the front with Matty Smith and Ronan Coughlin and stuff. You're going to have to take these goals and you're going to have to accept them because it's part and parcel of it. And I'd rather play the way we are and concede goals like that, because I think we're more dangerous and we're more clinical when we get them chances. So if Pats win the ball in around the 18-yard box, they're definitely hitting the target. If they score, it's a bonus for me. I think they're really good at that. They're really good at penning teams in. So you can take a goal like that when you get broken down the middle and they attack. You can understand where that comes from. But to be behind and then Dundalk to be level in the game again, and then Dundalk to have a little bit of bite about them, and the game was very cagey and the game was very nervy. It felt like a cup final atmosphere at the game. It was a real whoever scores next is going to win it, and that could have easily been Dundalk 4-1 in my opinion. It was just Pats just got that little bit of luck in the game, and I think Dundalk, last time we played them, was snatch and grab. I think Dundalk got 2 chances and they won the game 2-0 in Richmond. So I think this game, Pats were well on top in the second half. They came out a different team, different animal second half, played in their half, which is unlike Pats when you're ahead. But we played in their half. We were brave in possession. We were passing the ball around, still creating chances. Got the penalty. Never in doubt penalty for me. Absolutely never in doubt. He went through the back of him. I couldn't see anyone arguing. I swear to God, he absolutely upended him. So
I'll just throw in there as well because normally, I have to say it's a definite penalty because most people watch the show as well. If I didn't think it was a penalty, I'd definitely say I didn't think it was a penalty, but I can't see how it's not a penalty. The argument was he won the ball. That doesn't mean it's like if you're tackling someone in the middle of the pitch, you win the ball and you go through them. It's still a foul. He still fails. It's unorthodox. It's clumsy. He knocks King to the ground. It's a definite penalty for me. I really don't see the argument there.
I need to say it back now, but first instinct was penalty. And look, Forrester slots it away. I think probably scored at the right moments. And I think that has been the case all season. Not the case in this game. All season, Pat scored at right moments of the game. Like, you go back, I know we lost the game last week to Rovers, but we scored at an amazing moment at half time, getting ourselves back in the game. I think Pat's have a key of doing that. Then Dundalk kind of had a chance or two when we went 3-1 up, and then it could have been a nervy game. I think it was McElhenney put it right across the goal, and we get down the other end, we get a bit of luck, defensive mistake, but we had to be there. That's, like I said in the first half, you have to take that. If that ball is coming through the middle, you need to be brave and press it. You can take that goal, because if we didn't play it the way we do, we wouldn't have scored that fourth goal. So I think it was a little bit of Pat being good and Dundalk being third. But, 4-1 kind of flattered Pats a little bit.
Yeah, it's fair.
I think, look, I'm not complaining. I'll take it all day long.
You obviously didn't see the match, but that said, it was always going to be difficult for Dundalk, wasn't it? Because obviously they had a massive match on Thursday, by the way, unlike Bows, who had theirs on Tuesday. And it was also away from home. So I felt like watching the game myself, Pats were 2-1 up at half time. Before should be 2-1 up. I felt if Pats saw out, say, the first 20 minutes, that they could sense blood and take advantage of that. But in terms of the league, though, Dundalk, they're kind of going nowhere in the league this season, let's be honest, Philip, aren't they?
They need to win the cup, Keith, to be honest with you, or else they're in big trouble, I think, personally. But I suppose, without talking about Dundalk, Keith, I think this needs to be focused on the league. It's an issue that is just doesn't make any sense, to be honest with you. It was unfair on Dundalk, if I'm being completely honest. I thought it was unfair anyways. Thursday, Sunday, travelling to another country, having to travel back, do you know what I mean? And then obviously you've got recovery in there as well. And then you have to do some tactics, obviously, before a game against a big game against St. Pat's. And I just think it was unfair. And I think the league should, I think Dundalk should obviously mention it to the league and how the schedule is, because last week it was completely different. There was boys and there was games put by for teams that were playing in Europe. And I don't see why they had to do this week with Dundalk. And look, we've seen Bows struggled and they played on Tuesday. Like, that just went to show what it was probably like for Dundalk. Obviously, I didn't see the game, as we've said, but from what you have said in the game, it just seemed like that the legs of travelling and Europe during the week just completely killed Dundalk's chances in the second half. I think if they were fit, if they didn't play the game on Thursday and the game is going the way it is with 20 minutes to go, you'd probably fancy them to maybe get a goal and all of a sudden the game's back on. But from the sounds of what you're saying, lads, it seems like Dundalk are pretty leggy. So, but on the same side, you have to give credit to Pats, do you know what I mean? And like, I'd be completely honest with you, I came away from the game in Tala last week thinking they'll go on a rotten run, because they didn't look any use at all, to be honest with you. And look, as you said as well, Keith, Matty Smith was brilliant, and it's something that they need more consistency and they need to keep him fit. Do you know what I mean? If he's able to stay fit and stay consistent on the pitch for Pats, there's no reason why they won't comfortably finish in Europe. But look, I just look at it from a neutral's point of view, and it's a game I'm definitely looking forward to watching back, because, as Cian said, it was a bit of a mad game, and they're the games you like to watch for the league. And I suppose another thing that we probably won't talk about too much, but just another game I think personally could have been shown on RTE, and it's just a completely different topic for another day, but I think it probably would have done it justice from what his lads were talking about. So yeah. Pats will be obviously delighted and Dundalk will be very disappointed, and I suppose that that's kind of my quick analysis of what we're discussing anyways, not from watching the game.
Yeah, I think, yeah, just in terms of what you're saying in Europe, I think there's two sides of it though. You know, what if
it's an issue?
Like, yeah, I know it's an issue, but these games should have been, if these teams know they're in Europe, why can we not organise it beforehand at the start of the season? Because, you know, have midweek games for the teams that are in Europe or something like that. Just organise something, because I see what you're saying, Philip, and I agree with you, but what if Bows get through? Did he postpone the other next two games? And then what if they get through again? They're in the group stages and they have 8 or 9 league games to play as well, on top of 6 Europeans, you know what I mean? So I think that's the other side of it. And I think these games just have to be played. And the problem is, you know, you look at you look in England at the very top, Premier League, stuff like that. They're playing in Champions League, they're playing Europa League, Carabao Cup, wherever it is, Community Shield. Now they're playing all these tournaments, but I know they have the facilities, they have the bigger squads, they have everything. I'm not saying it's on par or anything like it, but these games have to be played. And, it's tough when you're in Europe, and I think Rovers kind of felt that a little bit because the game was very tough on Thursday for Rovers. But, I think it's can these games be played in around March, April time? Can we have? I know we do have busy schedules in and around that, but can we organise these games on a Monday or a Tuesday, even against each other, or something like that, where the teams know then they're going to come in, and when the games are in Europe, they have that week to prepare for Europe, and they can take their eye off the league because the games are already being played. I don't know what the solution is, but if you keep postponing games, and all of a sudden something happens, like let's say Dundalk last year getting to the group stages, and you have games every 2 or 3 days, then probably so. It's
hand.
there's both sides of the coin there, but yeah, I know what you're saying. It is tough, especially when you're travelling twice. But I don't know. It's just something that maybe needs to be.
Yeah, no, good points. Finished Shamrock Rovers 1, Longford 0, and for the third time this Philip's laughing. For the third time this season, Shamrock Rovers have scored in injury time. Deep as well into injury time again, isn't it, Philip? I think the other times like that as well against poor Longford. Leave Longford alone, Philip.
Oh, stop! I tell you one thing though. One of the lads in the stands done Scales anytime, and Scales forced goal scorer 50-1, and anytime 20-1 in play, done it. Oh my God, the scenes though, lads, when we scored in the last minute, because I don't know if you've looked back at the highlights, but Borky hit the post with, I'd say, in the 94th minute, he hit the post, and the ball looked like it was spinning back into the goal, but it spun out. And I'm saying to myself, that's it. Like, that was the chance. Like, and then all of a sudden, Finner takes a quick throw, cross the ball in, and Scales. Oh my God! And I tell you, he leapt like a salmon out of water on the 12-yard on the penalty spot. A bullet header past Stacey, who had a brilliant game. To be fair to him, had no chance of saving this. No keeper in the league saves it. In my opinion, it was a fantastic header. The scenes, honest to God, back in the South Stand, and just the whole feeling of being at a game where there's actual fans around you and there's singing going on. And I tell you, it was a great day in general. But I suppose to talk about the game, Keith, it was actually pretty similar to the game during the week. It was just Rovers constantly pressing and looking to try break down the team. And I think Longford might have looked at Toyota's plan and went about it the same way. And they were excellent in the game defensively, but they offered absolutely nothing in the offensive part of the game. And I think they had one shot that was straight down the throat of Manus, 25 yards out, and that was it really. But Rovers struggled as well, Keith. It was pretty similar to what we thought it was going to be when we were chatting about it in the preview show. Keith mentioned it in the previous games that Rovers really struggled to break down Longford, and that was the case again. There wasn't too many clear-cut chances, and I have to say we were, from a fan's point of view, we were very frustrated come the last 10-15 minutes because we just weren't able to break through. And I suppose the only...
It was coming though, Philip. Did you sense it was coming? Was there confidence like that was going to come?
No, Keith, to be honest with you, until the last 5 minutes when extra time came on, Rovers obviously pushed, but without actually... There was no clear-cut chance in the game for Rovers to score. Not that I can remember anyways. Maybe there was, but I don't remember being a chance where there's a one-on-one or not like that. Longford really were resilient when it came to the defensive side of it. Borky had a pot shot. That was the only chance I can remember before the last 5 minutes. The ball kind of fell to him in the box, and Stacey made an unbelievable save. So make sure to look out for that. But it's about 8 yards out and made a brilliant save. But overall, Rovers, it was a much-needed win, I think, in terms of the league itself. You said it to me, Keith, before the show or before the game last night. You said it to me that if Rovers won, you'd think the league was over. But I don't think so. I think with the way Rovers performed today, on any other day, any other team that they may have played against, they could have probably got beaten. Look, they were dominant, but defensively, if they're playing against a stronger side, I probably would have worried about a bit of a hangover. And it didn't seem like that throughout the game because they were so dominant. But as I said, the calibre of opposition just, I think we got away with one today in terms of the fixtures, whereas Dundalk didn't, and you've seen that. And same with Bows. So obviously delighted with the 3 points, Keith. And Scale scores again. I hope that's not his goodbye gift, but if it is, he's been brilliant, and he showed today with another excellent performance why a big club like Celtic and the Premier League side are looking at him.
You have to feel sorry for Longford though, Cian. They probably hate hearing that, but
yeah, I was seeing the game. I was watching it. Watched on my phone, and I have to say, look, I was thinking now because I knew the score, but I still watched it. It was a frustrating watch. There wasn't like Philip said, there was nothing in the game. It was all Rovers, but there was nothing happening. It was Rovers with the ball, and all they were doing was knocking it side to side, putting it in, it was going back, putting it in, it was going back. And that's all it was. The atmosphere now was very good, I have to say. I thought it was a great atmosphere. Look, I know everyone is being starved of atmosphere and stuff like that. And if this was a normal, like before COVID time, there wouldn't have been that of an atmosphere against Longford. But the atmosphere was excellent. And it was the last 10 minutes. Rovers, I think, would be disappointed in around the 80th minute because the time was ticking very quick and it was gone, but they weren't even throwing the kitchen sink at them. They weren't going at it. And like, I thought it was a missed opportunity for them because I think if Rovers turned around for 20, 25 minutes, that really turned around and threw the kitchen sink at them, I'd fancy them to win the game by 2 or 3 goals, but they didn't. They were very patient. Now, look, it's easy for them to say, yeah, it worked out well and stuff like that because they scored in the last minute. But they were too patient for me. If that, like Philip said, I think if that was any other side in the league, they probably could have been beaten today. So, look, Thursday was an awful tough game for them. Mentally draining, especially scoring in the last minute and stuff like that. It was like, if they were going over there at all, they would have kicked themselves. And they probably could have been beaten. But considering they're 1-up now, I'd fancy them to go through. I think that team is poured in anyway. But if you don't score at home, I think you're in trouble, especially with no away goals. You'd like to get at least go over there with some sort of lead. So, they done that. Today, Lee Stacey, that save you're talking about, Philip, oh my God, what a save.
We kept it out.
Yeah.
Was that near the end of the match as well?
15 minutes to go, wasn't it, around that time, Kino?
Around that, but it was very good. What a save. And, I felt for him there with that ball when he leaped. And he got a hand to it as well.
Yeah.
He got a hand to Scales' header, like. That's some save. And, he did get his hand to it. That was top corner, like. What a header. Look, I think Philip described it well, but you won't see a better header in the league probably this season. It was really top class. And what a win for Rovers. It would have been probably the best week of the season for Pats in terms of nobody winning around them, and then Rovers go and do that, which, this is what we talk about in the season. These are the games that when you win a league or when you're challenging, these are the games you look back on and you say, look at the amount of late goals, look at Longford, 3 games, late goals. It's excellent. And, you should always feel like Rovers can always win the game, even if they're 2 or 3 down. The problem is this season we haven't seen that. We haven't felt it. We haven't believed it. I think that's the thing. And I think teams are coming to talent now and saying, you know what, we can get something here. Where I think last year, especially last season, people are saying, we'll come here, we'll keep the score down. So, I think that side of it has gone a little bit. But with a win like that, it puts a big statement down for next week now. Get through the tie in Europe. I think they have to get through it. That's probably the worst side Rovers have faced in I don't know how many years in Europe. So if they don't get through this round, they'll be kicking themselves. And even in the next round, they have a kind enough tie as well. So you'd like to think, they could get into the group stages and, then we might, as a Pats and probably Sligo fans, are going to be hoping for that. in terms of, you know, might take your eye off the league a little bit, because the teams that are in that Conference League, you know, if you were to put them in groups now, you'd fancy Rovers to get their fair share of points. So, you know, I think it's going to be interesting to see now. It's an interesting couple of weeks for the league, with Bows next week, with Dundalk, and with Rovers. So, you know, it's something to look forward to, I think, for the league. It's good to see where you're at. It's good to see where we're at as a league and what we can do, because, you know, you're looking at teams like Bows and you're saying, you know, the likes of Pats maybe this year could probably even do a better job than Bows in Europe this year. So how far would that team go? And, you know, you say you're getting a good gauge for, especially for upcoming seasons. But I think the Conference League is going to be really good for this league.
Yeah, 100%. Lads, we'll leave it there. Brilliant stuff. Guys, thanks for watching. Like the video, subscribe, and hit your bell notification button. Cheers, lads. We out.